What is up, Real Coverage? I am your host, Nick. We are finally getting to Chris Tabor's first official press conference as interim. I know technically he was the interim immediately following the firing of Reich, but this is his first one on his own independent day as interim. Super excited for it. Just in case you guys don't know, over here at Roll Coverage, I do breakdowns on the regular. I want to be able to bring it to you guys as soon as I can. We're doing a backlog of the previous ones, but moving forward, you should get them within 24 to 48 hours full breakdown where I press pause, react to it, and give you guys my honest opinions on what our Carolina Panthers should be doing. But without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Chris Tabor's first press conference as interim.
Tampa Bay, we moved on. Process is going. Finished practice. Guys did a nice job. We're right back in the normal routine. And so I'm sure you have a lot of questions, but I'll let you go ahead and fire away. How normal is normal? I think it is for me and the guys. The nice thing about the NFL is that you're on a set schedule, and Wednesday's routine was the same. You know, it started with the special teams meeting to a team meeting to unit meetings, walk through. Then you go to practice, and now we're going to clean up practice right now and then kind of keep game planning and going. And then hopefully that'll set us up, like I always say, for tomorrow, and you go through that routine.
It is human nature, though, to think that something is obviously different. I mean, how are the guys...
No offense, at this point it should be different. So far, answering the first question, seems very positive, very open. Does seem a little like scatterbrain, so I hope he kind of just sets in, which he'll probably do here. Because so far through the breakdowns, I've given him very great grades. I will finally, at some point, do a full grading breakdown for them all, but and also expect a full breakdown video of his past and what brought him to this position. But overall, I really like the demeanor of Chris Tabor, and I could absolutely see him being a long-term head coach in this league, or at least a long-term coordinator. Maybe not special teams, maybe offense or defense, but he's definitely got a mind for him. I'm hoping that translates into wins, but we shall see.
Working through, I mean, you say it's normal and everything is by the book, script, whatever, but it's obvious it's a difference.
I can understand your question. I appreciate it. But what I would say is what's kind of just be a pro, and it's part of being a pro, and that's how I look at it. So where I understand, because there's just been a slight change in some things. We're still playing football. I told them we're out on the grass, and we're playing a kids game played by grown men. So let's have some fun while we do it.
That's who he reminds me of, Woody Harrelson. John Gruden, too. There's always the John Gruden comparison, but Woody Harrelson, this man gives off them vibes.
The level of intention for you in keeping the routine the same versus any sort of structural changes to practice or the schedule?
Well, what are we, week 12? Seems like week 72, you know. You don't want to change. You don't want to just make drastic changes. We made a few tweaks here and there. For example, our unit meetings today, instead of an hour 40, went 2 hours. You know, so we tweaked maybe some times here and there, but nothing. It was not a drastic overhaul. And to be honest with you, we're on a very normal NFL weekly routine.
That's good. That's good that it's not breaking the routine of the players. It's giving them time to still spend time with their families and stuff like that. They're not having to overcompensate for the lack of a head coach, even though that we have an interim now.
Chris Tabor with Charlotte Vibe. Can you talk about your philosophies, both as a coach to players and also on Sundays with managing all three phases of the game?
Well, my relationship with the players is, I think that's, I hope it's unique from this point. I got, like I always say, I got into coaching because of the players and wanting to see them succeed. And I follow that and live by that. You know, I want to see him do well. Obviously I've been coaching special teams for a long time, and I've been asked before. So, for example, Sam Franklin, great special teams player, now all of a sudden he was starting on defense. You know how excited I was to watch him get elevated to the defensive role, and at the same time, you know, I felt a little, wow, there goes my guy. but I was excited for him because you watch the work, and I think that's what the relationships are. And your second part of your question, I apologize?
For coaching on Sundays, as far as offensive, defensive, the three phases of the game.
You know, I'm always, in my world, I've always looked at both phases because I have to predict and try to handle field position. I don't think it'll be any different. I want the offensive coaches to work. The defensive coaches, they do their deal, and I do my deal. Now, within that, you're managing the game, and you're trying to be 4 or 5 plays ahead, and that's what my job is. So that if you want to go for it, we're already talking about it on second down. It doesn't happen on third down. So that when you get to third down, and if it's 3rd and 7, you know, maybe we make a play for 3rd and 5 because we know that we have 2 downs there, and that's my job to get that information to the coordinators really, really early.
Chris, you got
But obviously, they're going to need to have contingency plans and stuff like that if, like the situation that happened in the Bucks game. Obviously, this video is going to come out post Bucks game, but they had one 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, couldn't pick up the 1 yard. So there's a little bit that comes into that. But I do like that they're planning ahead, that they're treating it as 4 downs in some situations. I really, really like that. It just needs to be cohesive. It needs to be everybody's on the side of going for it. Because then if you're wrong, there's going to be dissension and all that other stuff. So
guys are nearing the end of that 21-day window for JC. What's your expectation on his availability this week?
I think we'll just have to see. We're going through the process right now, and it's still to be determined.
Can you tell, like, we've seen him limited now for several weeks. What is it that's sort of holding him back?
You know, he's going, like I say, and I don't want to get into the medical stuff. And to me, that's sometimes you're talking about giving information, and the other team is picking up on that. I would leave it at this, and you'll hate the answer. It's the process. He's going through it. When he's ready to go, he's ready to go.
like that, it's a process. It happens. It's a crappy answer. It's the head coach answer, but it's just the truth. There's a process they have to go through. He needs to be fully healthy. We don't want to put him out there with a partially torn anything or a partially hurt anything. That is not the way to build long term. Take care of your players. Take care of their families. And they'll be around for a very long time. So I do like the answer, regardless of how bland it is. I also love to see him like crack his little smile occasionally. He's just like, So that's something to watch out for too. He's obviously got a funny side. I'm hoping that starts to come out. I'm hoping some of the stuff behind the scenes is going to be good. I think at some point I will do a full breakdown of the huddle, which is the Carolinas behind the scenes. I will probably do it in the off season. I just don't see the point in starting it now in week 13, doing the off season full breakdown of all those and see what we might be able to pick out. I might actually do it as a live stream, so check out for that in the future.
Talking about with Sam getting promoted and everything, we hear about these stories of defensive coordinators seeing guys on special teams and knowing they could do certain things, or offensive guys noticing that they can do stuff on from special teams. Is there a guy that you've seen maybe on offense or defense that later down the road you said, hey, that guy could be a really good special teams player, and can you elaborate on that?
100%. When I'm watching practice, I'm always watching the player's skill set. And then within the player's skill set comes that relationship that we talked about a little bit earlier.
I think that Chris Tabor is being very honest, very, hopefully I'm using this word right, earnest, and very vigorous in his due diligence towards everything. He's making sure that he has the relationships. He's making sure that people are best set up to succeed. So obviously, hindsight is 2020. Wish he could have gotten the whole season, see what maybe Mr. Tabor could be about. But I think he's going to get an opportunity down the road. It just won't be with Carolina.
And when you marry those two things together, then the player understands exactly how you're trying to use them. And for example, if I use a wide receiver and I need him to block on kick return, I try to tie that into maybe it's a bubble screen out there and he's blocking. It's the same technique. And I'd say, hey, you're getting a bonus rep right now of a bubble screen right here, even though it's kick return, and have him look through those lenses, and then that seems to help.
Chris, beyond any schematic stuff you might do differently, which I know you're not going to talk about, are there things you try to do for Bryce to make him a little more comfortable this week?
I think he has to be himself. I think that my message to everybody is let's go out and play and have some fun. play loose. Not reckless, but play loose. Hey, here's my chips. I'm all in. So let's go. And I think that can be comforting to players. And he's going to play well. I just know he will.
Like that. Play loose, not reckless. I think the Bryce can overcome a lot, but the personnel just isn't there this year, so that's where he's going to suffer. I think it's getting him out of the season healthy, and obviously getting him through the season with the team still behind him, because obviously there's been some division amongst the fan base. C3's Cody Lack actually has been saying that maybe Bryce wasn't the right pick. I personally said pre-draft that I would take Stroud first, but I was very happy that we took Bryce. Thought Bryce is very accurate, but I also prefer, like Reich does, tall, strong, fast. So that's just my opinion. Obviously, again, hindsight is 2020, so CJ Stroud looks like a possible MVP candidate, so I can't hold that against the Panthers or anything like that. I can hold it against the owner and the GM, but I'm not going to hold that against the players on the field or anything like that. Bryce is doing the best he can with what he has, and unfortunately, he hasn't been given the tools to succeed. So, again, just get him out of the year healthy, and the team's still behind him.
Your elevated role, does Fitz kind of step up and have to take on a little bit more special teams in practice and in meeting rooms?
He does. He's done a great job for us all year, and I'm blessed because I know they say I'm the special teams coordinator, but it's Fitz and I doing it together. I see us as equals, and he's done a great job, and he's picked up some more things, and he's willing to do it. And the nice thing for me is I really, really trust him. He's a good football coach, good person, and I'm glad that he's with me.
What do you want to see, though? I mean, Bryce's progression really hasn't been a lot over the first 11 games or whatever. What do you want to see these last 6 games to show he's making progress for next year?
I think what you want to see, and I know we keep focusing in on Bryce, and I understand your question, but what I would say to you is this, is really we want to see all the players get better. And you can't just focus in on one guy. I understand that he's the quarterback and he's the #1 pick. I understand all that. But we also want to see Bozeman improve. We want to see Shark improve. And I think you have to work that.
Chark. Maybe I'm wrong. If his last name's Shark, that's pretty cool. I know it's spelled Shark. Does he say it as Shark? Because if that's the case, that's pretty funny. But I agree with him 100%. Chris Tabor, you've got it nailed perfectly. It's not just Bryce. There's other people on this team that need to elevate, that need to show up and meet the day, that haven't been. So we need those people to show up as well. It's not just Bryce. It's not Bryce's responsibility to completely elevate everybody on the team 100% of the time. They're grown men. They need to elevate themselves.
That collectively together, so that's our focus. And because when these guys are getting better out here, so is Bryce. And as Bryce is getting better, these guys should be getting better. It all works hand in hand. This is, in my opinion, this is the greatest team game in the world. And there's 11 guys out there, and 10 of them could do a great job, and one of them messes up, then it doesn't work. So we're trying to improve everybody.
You would say, otherwise, is Zavala going to injured reserve?
That's a front office question. I'll leave it at that.
Chris, do you have say on the 48?
The front office question? Is that a subtle thing to be like, David Tepper hasn't given me the okay to put him on AR? Or AR? IR. Sorry, my wife does accounting. IR?
On game day, and if so, I mean, it's worth asking, given the special team's importance, how much do you think that could potentially change the way you handle that?
Well, what I would say to you on that, we work collectively, and I'm always, to be honest, I've always been involved in the 48, and I understand the 53 and moves that have to be done by Scott and his staff and those things. But I have to look at the total picture. And, I think people say, boy, he's a special teams because he's going to try to hoard a bunch of special teams players. That's not going to be the case. We want to do whatever we can when we go down to Tampa to set ourselves up to be successful, offense, defense, and in the kicking game.
The moves you made, I guess would have been Monday. How much of those were in an effort to get Jim Caldwell more involved?
As I said, and not to dodge your question, I'm going to leave all that stuff in-house. I'm not going to answer that.
And smart adult answer. Sorry, can't answer that because that's throwing people under the bus, or that's giving something that I don't really want to give out. I appreciate that, Chris.
I'm glad Coach Caldwell's here. It's very well known. I have Coach Caldwell and Coach Capers. And I might as well take my desk and put it down in their office, because how they've helped me through this transition has been unbelievable. And I'm so fired up about it because I'm growing as a coach, and I'm so glad that those guys are here.
Do you have your weekly meetings with Tepper?
Will I have him? Yep. Oh, I don't know. I'm sure if he wants to meet with me, I'll be right there. You know, I'm the employee.
Another thing. Remember that I'm an employee, just like with Reich. Reich's not going to go into his office and start screaming and ripping people's heads off. That's not how you get things accomplished. You accomplish them through relationships, through give and take, through compromise, and collaboration. So that's the right answer. That's the same thing that Reich was saying, obviously with a little bit more laughter and a little bit more character.
You know, there's a change with you as a new interim head coach. Fans are really curious. I know you want to, again, conceal that game plan, but what can fans expect to see differently this Sunday? Or what can they expect to see, period?
Well, I said it the other day, and I said it again, and really it sums up my philosophy, being a classy, hard-hitting team that plays with great unity. And then it sounds like a bunch of jumbled words, but classy is you know, we're eliminating penalties. We're doing the right things. We're playing hard. We just keep coming after you. Regardless of the score, we just keep playing physical football. And then we do it together, offense, defense, and kicking. That's, you know, I would love for us to see complementary football in all three phases, and I hope that's what we do see. Obviously, we want to score more and those type of things. We want to do better in the kicking game. There's a lot of things where we need to improve, and this is another opportunity for us to do it, so we're excited about it.
Let's take two more questions, Scott and then Mike.
Well, Chris, how would you describe your style as a coach, sort of on a personal level, or, you know, not an X and O level, but just an intensity level, whatever?
I don't know if I could.
It'd be the same thing he just said, you know, the classy with unity and the whole nine. Sorry, I don't have the whole quote, but yeah, he's going to try and get them to play tough, you know, win in the trenches and everything like that. That's what everybody wanted. They wanted a better running game. We seem to have had it so far, so let's see it improve. Let's see us, you know, get, you know, 200-yard rushers maybe in a game, or maybe a 175-yard rusher, bunch of touchdowns. Like, we could absolutely make that happen and really take opposing offenses off the field and just start grinding down that defense like they do to us. That could be how we win. So
really describe it, I think you might have to ask someone. I want to have fun, and at the same time, I think you can have fun but yet be professional and demanding. Because I think sometimes people think fun and laughing and joking, that you're just kind of, you know, you're not taking things very seriously. I take this very seriously and this opportunity very seriously. But at the same time, I'm going to coach loose, and I'm going to coach to have fun, because that's the only way I know in order to be successful. And that's kind of how I've always kind of lived and played sports and coached sports, so I'm going to stick with it.
Players were out today and having to manage that, obviously given your background of having just shifted, how does that help you from an overarching view? I know you said that you've always had a say in the 48, but like, how does that help you from like a planning standpoint? Hey, you know, you have 8 or so guys out, this is what we need to do, this is where we need to fill.
Right, we talk about it as a staff. We knew that, hey, maybe we're short here, so for example, maybe a DB has to play wide receiver. You know, and I think that's very common in the
number one DB that you would want to play wide receiver. Doesn't have to be on the Carolina Panthers, but across all of sports, who would be the number one DB you'd want to play wide receiver? I mean, there's some interesting ones out there, truly. Oh no, that's a good one. That's a good question. That's going to be a Twitter poll.
NFL, we talk it through, everybody knows, so that we can practice fast and make sure everything looks sharp. I mean, I understand that when you play a DB as wide receiver, it's not the same, but it's about the look, it's about some tempo and reading things and going. I think we accomplished that today.
To clarify, you mean practice?
Practice, yeah.
The interview is pretty much over. It's only got 3 more seconds. Overall, Chris Tabor, you get another B+ from me. Like it. You're engaged when you're on the podium. You are giving us what we're looking for. Obviously, you're not giving away too much, and there is some stuff that you're not addressing, but that's okay. You're allowed to do that, even as the interim. I think that you are developing this team. I think the team believes in you as of right now, and I'm really excited to see what it looks like down the future. But just in case you ever want to check out any more breakdowns like this, we do them on the regular, mainly for the Carolina Panthers. But if you want us to do your team as well, hit us up on Twitter or X at Roll Coverage Pod. Sorry about that. And yeah, we're always here. Again, my name is Nick. This is Roll Coverage. Come check us out again soon. Peace.